Okay, in today's lecture, we will study what they mean by gain bandwidth or the gain profile. So, after learning what is called as the line broadening or its types, okay, or the reason behind this, what we can say that ideally a group of identical atoms radiate at the same frequency, okay, but in practice, because of the various broadening mechanism which we discussed yesterday, there will be a small spread of frequencies about the central frequency. Okay, so due to this, what happens? We have to consider a certain frequency interval called the bandwidth corresponding to stimulated transition. Now, in this, what happens? The limited range of frequencies over which stimulated emission can provide sufficient gain is called the emission line width or the gain bandwidth. I repeat again, the limited range of frequencies over which stimulated emission can provide sufficient gain is called emission bandwidth or the gain bandwidth. This is also called as usually the gain profile also. Okay. Now this figure shows a typical gain profile. That's what I showed over here. So now in this I showed you the line Mn. So line Mn indicates what? The cavity loss level. Okay. Cavity loss level, losses in cavity is this much part. So this will limit. Okay. And the curve above the line includes this part, means the area of the net gain of the laser. So what we can name over here? Area of the net gain. The gain bandwidth, basically this delta nu, is measured at the cavity loss level, losses in cavity. So measured at the cavity loss level, and therefore what is by delta nu? Delta nu constitutes the range of frequencies for which the gain exceeds the cavity losses. This is what is the gain bandwidth definition or the gain profile definition. Okay. Then we move to the again similar very small topic called as the laser operating frequencies. Now over here what we need to know, that the frequencies at which the laser will operate are determined together by the resonant frequencies of the optical cavity resonator and by the laser emission line width. Okay, we have seen this earlier. So if an output is to exist at a particular frequency, okay, we have seen it, that the cavity must be resonant at that specific frequency and there must be sufficient gain at that frequency. So the laser oscillation can take place only when the gain is large, even that we have seen it, to maintain the resonance. So the actual profile of frequencies radiated by a laser is the product of the envelope of resonant modes and the gain profile. So what does this give? The laser emission line transforms from this figure. I am coming out to this figure now. So the laser emission line transforms into a series of narrower spectral lines corresponding to cavity modes. Okay, so therefore several frequencies lie within the width, this part, within the width of a single emission line. Correct. Therefore the output of a laser consists of a number of closely spaced frequencies, and the value is given by delta nu is equal to C divided by 2L. Okay, so this is just a normal envelope. Okay, but this delta nu can be given by the closely spaced frequencies in this fashion. So everywhere I showed you the graph of I versus nu. Even this is I versus nu, and even this is I versus nu. So this is just a normal single envelope. Here I showed you the closely spaced lines. Okay, and this part also is similar in that one in this delta nu part. Actually, we have this two values we are taken at the peak delta nu and 2 at the end. That's what this means. Okay, so this is what is the laser operating frequencies is concerned. Now we'll take one more small topic. Okay, this hardly to do just a paragraph definition, I should say. Next topic we'll see, that is called as, very interesting, this is cavity configuration. Now cavity configuration, where it will be necessary. Okay, over here we need to check what is the position of the mirrors as far as the resonator is concerned. So what we can say over here, basically, it is not necessary for the mirrors in an optical cavity to be flat. So that's the reason we have several configuration given over here. I mentioned 4 names. First is the plane parallel resonator. Okay. Second one is confocal resonator. Third is the hemispherical resonator, and fourth is a long radius resonator. So as the name says, the first one, plane parallel. So here what should happen? In this you have a 2 flat mirrors. Okay, and it's conceptually simple but is unstable. Okay, so over here what we did, we have taken the 2 mirrors aligning strictly parallel. As the name says, plane parallel, we align them strictly parallel, which creates basic problem. So if they are not precisely parallel, the light beam bouncing between from here to here and again coming back here, bouncing between them, will walk away after few reflections and leads to a loss of light. Okay, so it is, first job is not easy to place them parallel, and second over here, that if it is not precisely parallel, then the light beam will after a few reflections leads to give loss of light and instability. So this plane parallel resonator configuration is very efficient. Okay, the light beam makes maximum use of laser medium, as there is no focusing of light within the cavity. So these days this is rarely used to alignment problem, due to alignment problem and stability problem. So first job over here is unstable, which is just not ready to align. Alignment also is very difficult. So these two are the drawbacks this plane parallel resonator will have in cavity configuration. Then we'll move to the second one. What is the second one? Is confocal. Now this, what is this middle point shown over here? This is the focal point of both the mirrors. Okay, so what this figure shows? Figure shows 2 concave mirrors. I have taken 2 concave mirrors, okay, of same radius of curvature capital R. Okay, they are separated by a distance L. So this I can say L from here to here. Fine. Then separated by a distance L equal to R. So I can say over here L is equal to R. Okay. What was R? Radius of curvature of whom? Of both the mirrors. Okay. Now the focal length of the mirrors is L by 2. Focal length is L by 2, and focal points, this point, coincide in the center. Therefore the configuration is called as confocal resonator. Reason behind giving this name is over here. And this cavity is easier to align, but as filling is poor, so only a small fraction of medium is utilized. That is the only disadvantage it has got. It is filling is poor. Okay, easier to align, but the filling is poor is the only disadvantage over here. That's the reason a small fraction of medium is utilized. Then we'll go to the third one. The third one, name itself is interesting, which is hemispherical cavity. Now this type of hybrid between one is plane parallel and other is a confocal type mirrors we have used. Okay, here I named center of curvature of curved mirror, CURVED, curved mirror. So what I said, this type of hybrid between the plane parallel and confocal type. This has concave mirror at one end and plane mirror at other. Okay, so over here the plane mirror is placed at the center of curvature of the spherical mirror, that is L is equal to R. And in this what happens basically, that even if light is not emitted precisely along the axis of the system, the curved mirror can often reflect it back into the cavity. Okay, that's happened over here. So even if light is not emitted precisely along the axis of the system, okay, the curved mirror can often reflect it back into the cavity. Okay, this what's happened in the hemispherical mirror, hemispherical resonator. And now we'll go to the long radius cavity. This is again very interesting. In this case, this is my L, but R1 and R2 are greater than L. That is the first thing you can visualize when you look at the diagram. Okay, so what happens here? This cavity has two concave mirror. Okay, mirror 1, mirror 2. The radii of curvature is what basically R1 for this mirror, R2 for this mirror. So because as I mentioned over here, R1 and R2, R1 for this mirror, R2 is this for this mirror. So what we said, radii of curvature are longer than the distance between them. So I can say R1 is equal to R2 greater than L. Okay, so slight misalignment of the cavity mirrors would not cause problem, because their curvature would automatically focus light back toward other mirror. Okay, so here we do have the chance of adjustment over here. This configuration is a stable resonant cavity. So as we said, first is unstable, this is stable resonant cavity, because the light rays reflected from one mirror to the other will keep bouncing back and forth indefinitely. Okay, so nowadays this type of cavity is used commercially. So we should say this is the most stable, and in this R1 is equal to R2 greater than L. In this case L is equal to R. Even in this case L is equal to R, and here there was no chance of doing so, because there we have not spoken about that, because there the problem itself was as of the stability is concerned and even aligning is concerned. So both problem, so we never thought about this issue. So in this case L is equal to R, L is equal to R, but in this case R1 is equal to R2 greater than L. Okay, so this is what is happening as far as these three topics what we have considered. One is the definition of gain bandwidth or gain profile. Second is the laser operating frequencies, delta nu is C by 2L, and the third is the cavity configuration. Okay, so that's the reason we have seen that how to adjust the mirrors in the optical cavity. Okay, they can't necessarily be flat, but they do have either the plane, okay, curved mirrors also we have used over here. Concave mirrors also can be used. Okay, so this is all about as far as the first test is concerned. So as far as syllabus is concerned, we have finished around, I should say 35 to 40%. Okay, This much is the syllabus. So I might not take the lectures regularly from now on. So in between I'll be definitely taking, but that will be for the second test. Okay. This much is the syllabus for the test what I announced yesterday. Okay. Thank you very much.